and rotten to the core.
Unless you knock him out, and
Yeah,
especially if you take a case like when AJ lost to Andrew Ruiz Jr. Had
yeah,
that fight have been close, AJ probably would have walked it.
yeah, yeah,
But
100%.
you know, we know how that fight ended.
Yeah,
It's interesting because Ozzy has a very similar take when I spoke to him about the fight game,
yeah,
and it's a very good thing. We have to try to. And funny enough, everybody I speak to in boxing says the same thing, whether they're up here or down there in their careers, male or female, coach or non-coach or observer, MC or not. Everyone speaks about what you just spoke about. That sort
yeah.
of dark side to boxing.
Sad.
That yeah, it's interesting. So I mean, so you go to the U.S.,
Hmm.
you meet Floyd. At what year did you go to Vegas?
All right, so I first went to Vegas in 2012. I went there for 2 weeks. So I was in New York for 8 weeks. I was British champion, and I just wanted to change. I was like, I don't want to be here for 8 weeks. I saw that Floyd was in camp to fight Cotto, so I said, I'm gonna fly over there and train in his gym and watch him train if I can. So I flew over there. I went over there, and I walked to the gym, and I still remember it now. The first day that I walked in there, I met Roger. You know what I mean? I met Rog. They said, before you can come in to train here, Roger's got to take you on the pads. So I went to Rog. I spoke to Rog, and he said, who are you? I said, I'm the British champion. And then we done some pads. He said, you can fight a little bit. I said, yeah, I'm British champion. You know what I mean? And then so they allowed me to stay there to watch Floyd train. I watched Floyd train, and then as I started to leave, I walked past Floyd, and then it was private, so no one could come in at that stage to watch Floyd train. So he knew everyone there, but he saw that I was a newbie. So he stops me and says, who are you? And I goes, I'm Ashley Theophane, I'm British champion. So he asked me my weight, like what is my career thing? And then he looks me up and down and says, like we might have to spar. So I was like, great. That'll be I said, I'm here for 2 weeks. If you want to spar, great. So then I left, and then I came back the next day. Then I was there for 2 weeks. We didn't spar, but they just showed me love throughout that whole 2 weeks. So then I come back home, I lose the British belt, and then I was here for another six months, couldn't get no fights here. So I said, basically, what can I do next in my career? I was like, my last kind of shot is I go to Floyd's gym again. If I can get signed by Floyd, cool. Like if I can't, I gotta retire. So I went back to Floyd's gym. Exactly a year had gone by. I come back, and he said, the British guy's back. And I was like, oh shit, he remembered me. A whole year had gone by, and he remembered me. And I was there for that camp. That was Guerrero, and he would watch me spar. We would go out for runs, and then at the end of the fight, like when he won, he just said, that he wants to sign me, wants to help my career, and that was basically the start. You know what I mean? So, which is great.
So at 2012, and then you left it, what, 2000? Was it right after the Broner fight? Did you have one more fight after Broner, then you left?
No, no. I had 2 fights after AEB. Yeah,
because I've seen you fought since the Broner fight. You fought maybe like 6 or 7 times since the Broner fight.
All right. So now I fought 2 times with Floyd, but I would have liked to retire with Floyd. I'm still cool with them now. But we, at that stage there, it wasn't act. They had signed so many guys, and there wasn't enough fights for all of us. So I had fought twice in 2 years. I was like, I'm getting older. I want to retire soon. So I spoke to L, and I said, yo, you got all these young guys here now. Like, I want to fight back home before I retire. And he said, cool. So then I left Mayweather Promotions in 2018. So I've come back home to try to fight back home, see if I could do anything here. All of the promoters, they came at me, but everything they came at me with, I didn't like. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go on a world tour and just kind of have fun, like just fight all over just fight all over the world. So I fought all over the world. I fought 10 times in 9 countries, and I achieved my 50th pro win. So then after that stage, I basically retired. That was like a year and a bit ago, because then we went into lockdown. Then I was trying to open up my own gym.
Right.
So that's kind of how it was. You know what I mean? So
Right.
a lot of times I've just had to take control of my career, because I couldn't get no love back home. The reason why I left Floyd was the sport was doing so great here, and I was like, I want to fight back home. Then I come back home, and then the promoters are still on the same BS. So you know what I mean? I just thought, all right, I just go on my little tour.
Well, and there seems to be a loggerheads between obviously the two big ones, Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not with either of those guys, I mean, obviously you have Hennessy, who's another guy.
Well, you got MTK now as well, who kind of float in and out, who work with everyone. Yeah.
And then you got MTK Global. So if you're not with any of those guys, then it's really
you can't do anything.
Can't do anything. So would you consider yourself retired now, or what are you, an active fighter?
No. I would say I'm retired now. Like, I would say I'm retired. I've done everything I'm going to do. For me, I've done what I've done. You know what I mean? I've done what I've done. So for me, I would like to kind of be the inspiration for guys who are on like the small hall, like where we first met at York Hall, to know that I started at York Hall. Majority, not being rude, but 99.9% of those guys who are at York or who start there, they won't even become British champion. So to think of what I started there without a promoter, I didn't have a promoter for 10 years. And to think that I went on to beat the world number 3, I fought like world champions. I was with Floyd for 5 years. I had headlined in America like 5 or 6 times. Like, what I've done without help from where I was from is unheard of. Unheard of. And even a lot of Brits who go over to America, they go there with the safety net or the promoter. I've fought like 20 times in America. Like, Brits don't do that. Brits in the last 20 years, I think there's only one other Brit that's fought there as much as me. They don't do it.
I remember there's a similar story in the U.S., a legend, Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah.
Not most of his career, I would say half of Bernard Hopkins' career, he fought without a promoter. Because some said he was just too difficult to work with. And for the same thing you mentioned, he didn't want to work with Don King, who was the big dog at the time. He didn't want to work with Bob Arum. And for a lot of times, arguably, it wasn't until the latter part of his career when he teamed up with Golden Boy that he started making some serious money. Because he was like yourself. He was like, well, I'm not going to fight when you say, I'm not going to jump when you say jump. I'm not going to fight who you say fight if it doesn't suit my terms. And so it was hard for him to get the fight and the recognition he wanted because of that notion. And it's really weird because England is a much smaller country, or the UK is a much smaller country. And for that to happen here, it almost it's impressive, and it's also pleasing when you see people like AJ, who literally is his own boss. So he doesn't actually fight for a promoter. The promoter kind of works with him. But you were mentioning earlier that a lot of times you can credit Floyd Mayweather for that, because he was the beginning of all that. I would probably say arguably De La Hoya started that sort of stuff.
Okay, but who I would say the first British fighter to do it here, Audley Harrison.
Yes.
He was the first man to be his own boss. So even though he made mistakes, but that's what you're supposed to do. You go out there, you take the chance, and the people who come behind you, they will learn from you. So AJ, Amir Khan, they've all learned from Audley, because Audley was the first one to do the TV deal. He was the first one to promote himself and to bring along guys. So that's why I forgot to mention him. So over here, I think it was 2004. Like, he's like the one who started it. And again, he doesn't hear his name. You don't hear his name. He's living in America. But again, look. he's living in America now. He's in a better place. He's in America. So this is what I'm saying. It's weird. America seems to show more love. It's something about that place. As much as it's got its issues, it's got loads of issues. Hence, you're over here. You know what I mean. You got your wife over here, whatever it is. But this is what I'm saying. Sometimes you just, where you're not from, sometimes you just get more love. It's weird.
It's true. I remember watching Audley Harrison, and in the Olympics when he won gold at the time was a record, because remember, Lennox Lewis is actually the greatest British fighter, I would say. He's in the last ever, period.
Yeah.
He's the last undisputed heavyweight champ. But when he fought for gold in the Olympics, he represented Canada.
Yeah.
But if he was here, he would have won gold here. So when Audley won gold, he made history because he was the first Brit heavyweight to win gold as a heavyweight. But putting that aside, from his career, although his career didn't go where everybody wanted to go, but you're absolutely right. He took control of his life, because I think he saw early the gangster move with the Warrens and everyone else. And he said, nah, I'm doing my own thing. And he created A4, I think it was A-Force.
A-Force Promotions or whatever.
A4 Promotions, whatever it was. And he done well. He made a few mil up the game. And he did well. Before Deontay didn't go his way. But
it is what it is.
You
got to cash out. Wait, if you look at majority of pros, greats or not, their last fight, majority of the time, it's a cash out fight just to get the money. You got David Hay, you got Tony Bellew, like of recent years, they both knew that they were done, but they wanted their cash out fight. You know, that's how it goes down majority of the time.
Well, Bellew always told David Hay, thank for the fight, because those 2 fights, I can feed my family for the rest of their life. We never have to starve again.